You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where we're here to discuss day 4 of the first test between England and India at Headingley. It was another fascinating day with some more great batting as Rahul and Rishabh Pant both notched cracking but contrasting centuries before England fought back at the end to leave things delicately poised. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Max Rowe-Brown. Max.
Hello.
I'm glad we're getting a good test series. I'm glad, 4 days in, I think we can already make a fair prediction. Might not be able to predict who's going to win, but I think we can predict there's going to be some more good cricket at some point.
Yeah, I think we've got a great start to the whole thing. The way I look at it at the moment, from what we've seen, is two flawed teams putting on a real show. That's sometimes when you get the best action, isn't it? Two teams that have their own strengths and weaknesses, but they come together to make something that's quite good fun. When you've got two teams that are perfect, then they just cancel each other out, don't they? You want a little bit of fallibility to make things work, and I think that's why this is so good.
I think there's an argument for that. Before we get into that talking point, I will say, do make sure you click like and subscribe on whichever platform you are listening or watching on. Hit that subscribe button. Get involved. It's regular cricket content, and we do that, and it's good. Well, we like to think it's good. You can judge that. Be a subscriber, then judge it over a number of episodes. Do that whole thing, and you can head to the show notes for some stuff like our patreon.com/cricketpod, where the Discord was popping off. It's a good Discord for England v India. There's a healthy respect from
our Ashes supporters,
but also it is the Cricket Podcast Ashes. That's what's going on. I was going to. Are they flawed teams? Are they flawed? I think they're only slightly flawed teams. I think they're actually both really, really good teams. I think there are question marks about both bowling attacks, but not huge ones. I mean, they're both sides have got decent bowlers. They're slightly different makeups. England have gone for like a bunch of slightly above average bowlers, and India have gone for like one all-time great and other guys. But
I'd say
they're
slightly
still
flawed,
good,
I'm not saying
it is slightly flawed, but I think I get what you're saying, but I've been very, very impressed this series versus the last 2021 series, the quality of the cricket. I think they were more flawed in 2021 when it was sort of like the ghost of Virat Kohli and some other good players, the ghost of Pujara. That's probably an exaggeration, isn't it? A little bit. But didn't Rahane start that series? So there was all sorts of nonsense happening in back then. And then on the other side, it was like England's all-time worst team, just cycling through all sorts of crazy combinations. They had Hamid, they had Milan, and that made for fantastic cricket. They were much more flawed. I think they were bad flawed teams. I think these are good teams with slight defects. These are like a used car that's had one owner, whereas last time it was like a couple
one
of
previous owner, old lady.
yeah, exactly. Max, do you want to summarize the day's play?
Well, I can, and for the first, 2/3 of it, it was all about two guys, because Shubman Gill fell early, chopping on to Bryden Cars, let England open the door slightly, and then it looked for all money that Rahul and Rishabh Pant between them was firmly going to shut it. King Legend, 137 off 247 balls in the end, as he stoically stood around for a very, very long time, shepherding the India innings in very impressive fashion, while Rishabh Pant came out looking, quite insane to start with in his first 10 balls or so, because while India's plan seemed to be bat for as long as possible, Rishabh Pant came out playing all sorts of weird shots to start with, and then he calmed down. And when he calmed down, he looked very comfortable, sped up towards the end as India went past lunch, looking to extend their lead as far as they could. And by the afternoon, it was looking a bit dicey for England, but they managed to get that breakthrough. And as we saw in the first innings, Jack, everything fell in a heap from there. Karen Nair made 20, and then after that, apart from Ravi Jadeja's little cameo at the end alongside the tail, 4-0-0-0 is what you got. And the whole point of picking Shuttlecock seems to have
4,000.
4,000 runs from the tail. If only that were the case. Yeah, no, it was bad, and it meant that despite a little bit of cat and mouse at the end with Prashad Krishna and Jadeja and the world's worst exchange of sledging, India did fall for 364 all out, leaving England. Well, a tasty little chase. Maybe not favourites, definitely not favourites, but certainly in the game, weather permitting, and they managed to see out 6 overs this evening for the loss of no wickets with 20 runs up. So it's a pretty simple equation for tomorrow. England need to score 350. India need to take 10 wickets. It's all to play for, and we pray that the rain stays away.
We did this yesterday, and we're going to do it again. Here we did. We started. Not presidents. We don't have to do presidents again.
Thank God for that. I don't know anymore.
There's too many centuries to play the president game. Who's going to win? We'll start with who's going to win. And if you're in the chat on YouTube, interested in your thoughts as well, let us know. India, England, draw. Just cricket, draw. The umpire.
Yeah, the cricket's already won, hasn't it? Unless the rain comes and makes it a draw. I said draw yesterday. There's a bit of rain around, so maybe I will stick with the draw for that reason. But it does feel like a bit of a cop out, doesn't it? So I'll say if the full day's play happens, I am going to say that India are going to win because
I agree.
Is too good.
I agree. I think there's a couple of barometers for this. The worst one is Wimbiz, whatever that's saying, throw it out the window. I think you want to be looking probably at a betting market, and at the moment England are priced at about a 30% chance for a win, India about 40-ish, and then the draw also about 30, which reflects the rain. And if you have a look at the weather forecast, it's possible that there's no play until after lunch tomorrow, which I think then it really becomes India or draw. Surely it becomes India or draw in those circumstances. I think that is wrong, though. I think England are a much, much less likely proposition to win this match than people think. I think the pitch is a little bit of up and down. I think that we didn't see him tonight, but I think Prashad Krishna will suit the surface more in the second innings than he did in the first innings. I think Jadeja will probably get something out of it, and then Bumrah is due probably a minimum of 4 wickets if he bowls 20 overs, which I would imagine he will do. I imagine he will, be asked to pick up a lot of the work. So I think England as a 30% chance. I just don't see that being true. It's a really, really big chase. It's nothing like Edgbaston, which was a complete road, and it was better conditions. And I think also much earlier in the match, it's not like a terrible wicket, but it's deteriorated substantially. And to get 350 runs, what do you reckon England would have to bat? 80 overs?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a really long time.
Going to have to. We'll get to a new ball. I think if England are going to win it, then we'll end up getting to the new ball because that's 74 overs away from here, and that could change it if there's a couple of wickets left at the end. I think they'll make a good go of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think India are favourites and India will probably win, but I don't think it's going to be like England collapsing to 200 all out or 180 all out affair. I think assuming there's full play, it should be good, and I hope it is because it's been a game that deserves a close finish. But the other thing that you need to consider, because you can easily look at what happened today and the way India batted, and for a lot of the afternoon when the ball was a bit softer, it was very easy. And once the new ball came into play and was a bit harder, there was a little bit more in it, not a lot more in it, but enough to nick those couple of wickets. Obviously, Rishabh Pant just got out slogging, so kind of irrelevant. But England had Shahid Bashir, and Shahid Bashir looked as unthreatening as you could ever think of a spinner looking in that sort of period of play. Not to say he was particularly bad. I thought he did okay. He didn't, he wasn't like all over the place, but it wasn't challenging the India batters. And I feel like Ravi Jadeja is going to be much more in the game than Shahid Bashir was for for India. So that I think also adds an extra level of, it's mainly the Bumrah show, but it might not just be the Bumrah show this time, and that could be enough to cause England some problems, because we all know what they're like when it comes to spin. If Joe Root doesn't sit there for a lot of the afternoon, then there could be some weirdness from that batting lineup.
There definitely could be some weirdness from that batting lineup. I think it's going to be tough for England. Let's talk about Pant and KL Rahul. Different styles of century, Max.
That's what they're putting it.
But they both counted as centuries. That's not deep analysis. That's up to you to do now. Talk to me.
Well, I think they both had a job to do, and the job for each of them was quite different, and it worked perfectly. Like, KL Rahul was there to blunt the England attack and stay there and make sure that there was someone around keeping that Indian innings going and making sure they batted time, because I think we agreed, didn't we, that there was a clear sense that India were intent on batting for probably the entire day today, probably out of a little bit of trepidation for England chasing and a little bit of fear, which I suppose England have earned a right to inflict on some of their opposition with some of the chases that they've put together in recent times. And I think possibly, an air of conservatism, particularly in that first session. They were pretty circumspect about the way they went about things, apart from the first 10 balls or so of Rishabh Pant's innings. And then once things got a bit flatter, that's when Rishabh Pant took over and changed gears and got it to the point where there's a result on the cards. Because if he'd scored 100 at the same pace as KL Rahul, then it would be a draw, no questions asked. This game would not be going to a result, I think. So two different jobs executed brilliantly, and they set it up for India to bat England out of the game. And the lower order was probably not that surprisingly unable to take it any further, because it's possibly the worst 8 to 11 I've seen for quite some time. Although I'm led to believe that there were worse ones in history, but it's not good, is it? It's not good. So what was it? 9 runs that bottom
over the match. They contributed 9 runs.
Yeah, solid effort. So they were incredible bits of batting, and I think both of the stats that surround it kind of back it up in terms of, I think Rishabh Pant in particular is like all sorts of records that he's broken now as like a wicketkeeper scoring centuries in England. Like first Indian to score, was it century in each innings in England? He's got the joint most centuries for a wicketkeeper in England, alongside Alex Stewart.
Oh wow, that's good going.
Matt Pryor. So when you're doing stuff like that, it's quite an achievement. And it was Pant style as well. It was aggressive, and it was fun, and it was not ideal for England, but it was still great to watch. And fair play to him for getting the game to the position it was in, because for a while it looked like it might not get there.
Yeah, I think well said. I don't. So like, we speculated about what India might do on the pod yesterday, and we thought that they probably would err on the side of batting longer rather than batting faster, and I think that clearly was the game plan. I saw KL Rahul's interview after the game, and he was sort of talking about Rishabh Pant, and he was just like, "This, you can't really talk to him. He just does his thing," and we all sort of watch on. And I think there was an element of that. He just decided that it was going to be his afternoon, and if the wider game plan was to bat all day, which it did really look like it was,
especially
it
with
looked like they had
nonsense that happened at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like the taking like 1 run and over for 5 consecutive overs, until they got past, or basically to 6 o'clock, at which point Jadeja was like, "Oh, we'll hit a 6 then." It did strongly suggest that there was a game plan, and the way KL Rahul batted. And this isn't to say as well that they were wrong. It's a very reasonable tactics to take. If you're India in that circumstance and you bat all day and you score at 3.5 and over, which is fairly conservative, I would say, in on those conditions with that outfield and against that bowling attack. You will get to a situation where you finish the day on 400 runs. You're the only team that can win the match, and then you throw the ball over to your bowlers, and you hope that England's egos get in the way, or that the conditions are helpful, or that it's just a good day for Siraj, Prasidh, and Bumrah, and then you win. And if not, oh well, you started an away Test series with a draw against a decent team. You move on to the next venue. All your batters have scored runs. Your bowlers have had, your main bowler has had moments. I think you say it's not. It's obviously doesn't go down as a win, but like a draw is probably a decent result.
A positive result.
Yeah. It's a. I think it's a negative result for England to draw the first match of a home Test series. So I can totally understand why India went for it, and I think it probably was the right thing to do. I'm not sitting here saying KL Rahul should have scored 200 in his 247 balls. He was too slow. He did his job to perfection, assuming the game plan was to battle day, which it seemed like it was. The Pant factor does quite radically, I think, shift the game. Like if he'd carried on like he did before lunch, actually to the point I wasn't feeling very well this afternoon, so I went and had a lie down. At the point when they gave Bashir the ball, I was like, oh, they'll just nerdle this around for a little while. I think there were 2 sixes off that over, and someone put the stats up. He scored 45 runs in 23 balls or something like that while I was asleep. That I don't think was on the cards. And the way KL Rahul talked about it after the game, I don't think he was expecting it to happen. I think Rishabh Pant just was like, yeah, here we go. Like,
honestly, to me, it looked like Rishabh Pant came out and was like, I'm going for it. And someone said, what are you doing? Like, because there were a couple of dicey moments, right? Slice one up in the air, like nearly got caught.
Yeah, I mean, he could easily have been out early.
He could easily have blown the whole game open.
I think someone 5 edges before.
Stop it. And then he did for a bit, and then got bored again. I was like, nah.
Oh, look, they batted sensibly for long enough to get to the point where I think they probably earned the right for him to press on. Like, I don't know specifically what the score was when he decided to start playing lots of shots, but I think they were more than 150 runs ahead. They were starting to push the score to a very, very safe position where even if Rishabh Pant had got out on 40, then India would have backed themselves to get to 300 still and be well in this match. And by him doing what he's done, he has provided a little bit of safety net for what actually did turn out to happen. The collapse. Like, had Rishabh Pant not played that way and he'd faced his 140 balls, and let's say he'd carried on at the same pace he was and he scored 80 runs, England are really eyeing that. Like that's England are probably the at least evens with India in terms of outcome. So fantastic innings. I do think KL Rahul.
Rishabh Pant's 50 came up off 83 balls.
So the next 68 runs are off 57. Yeah.
So
pretty good. Good entertainment. That is, isn't it? But I do think, I was going to round off by saying I think KL Rahul actually, I think, played the better innings. I know, he literally scored 20 more runs, and that's how you win. But I think to bat for 6 hours wasn't
so long, isn't
it? It wasn't easy to bat. It wasn't the hardest condition. It weren't the hardest conditions of all time. But to bat for that long, to concentrate, to deal with the early wicket of Shubman Gill, to deal with Rishabh. I mean, it must be quite difficult to bat with Rishabh Pant when he's doing sort of all sorts of nonsense, because he's effectively playing a completely different game to you. I thought KL deserves a lot of credit, and I think he's going to be a big problem from an England point of view over the rest of the series. Like, if he keeps on batting that way, they just didn't really seem to have an answer for him. So
he's now got 300s in England, which is more than any other Indian opener in tests as well. So he's better than Sunil Gavaskar,
really,
and Rahul Dravid.
Well, we
facts.
knew that.
They are facts.
Max, anything else that we want to talk about? We had 3 days to do on the last show, so we did a bit longer. But we can keep it fairly tight tonight, I think. Anything that you'd like to
well, I
mention?
think we should probably address the little bit of sledging at the end, shouldn't we? And how downhill sledging has got in cricket in the last 5 years, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, I actually had it on mute, so I didn't hear this. But for anyone else that was listening on mute, or maybe not listening at all, maybe we're on the radio or whatever, what happened? What transpired?
Yeah, well, it was in the middle of this period at the end where it was Ravi Jadeja and Prashad Krishna playing silly buggers, basically knocking one over for the last 5 overs, which, in my mind, was just reducing the number of overs that England had to face with Jasprit Bumrah this evening. So I thought it was maybe a bit foolish, but it was a little tiresome. And Prashad Krishna found himself on strike to Shahid Bashir. Harry Brook at slip thought he'd pipe up. It was like, can you hit big sixes, Prashad? To which he said no. It was like, you got long levers. And then Prashad Krishna responded saying, well, then I'd be called Brooks. And then Harry Brook said, no, you wouldn't. And that was the exchange we got. And then there was a little bit more after he tried to block one, and he was like, no, he's a big six boy, is Krishna. Krishna comes with the sixes, and then he tried to smash the next ball up in the air and got caught. So in the end, it worked, but it was possibly some of the most tragic exchanges I've ever witnessed on a cricket pitch. And hey, we play village cricket, so we've witnessed some bad chat, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was.
No, you wouldn't.
It was a low point.
What a line! What a line!
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, then I'd be. Did he mean to get his name wrong? Because if he did, then I
don't think so. I think it's quite a common mistake. I think it's quite a common mistake that people make, calling him Brooks instead of Brook. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Maybe it was a bit meta. Maybe Prashad Krishna was like, nobody even knows how to say your name. Like,
maybe.
Who are you? Like, maybe it was like 5D chess. The fact that he then like immediately falls into the leg side trap
would suggest not.
means that obviously Prashad Krishna doesn't win. But like, if it was a play on people calling Harry Brooks, or like, Josh Butler.
Yeah.
Then I don't know why I brought Butler into this. That was unnecessary. It's just confused the situation. But yeah, cool. Look, Max, we're going to wrap up there. Thanks to Freddie Jane for a £5 super chat to round things off. That's very generous of you. Do come back and listen tomorrow for the analysis of hopefully an amazing day's cricket. Like it could be.
Hopefully, there's
an analysis of rain. But
what kind of rain and clouds was it falling from, Jack?
Yeah, it could be one of those days that finishes at like 8 o'clock, and it's really irritating as well. Not that like you don't want to see the end of the game, but
I do like an extra half an hour though. Like 8 wickets down, I don't know, 30 runs to get. We'll take the extra half an hour. That's what I want to happen tomorrow. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Well, so it finishes at 7.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about that. All right. Look, thanks everyone for listening and watching. Do remember to click like and subscribe. This has been the Cricket Podcast. See you later.